Contrast between a senator who's been in Washington for 50 years and is very comfortable defending the establishment and the status quo, talked a lot about all the different things that have been tried over the last 50 years, most of which have failed. And in contrast, I'm putting forward new ideas, a new vision, a new generation of leadership with a simple acknowledgement that the old plans haven't worked. And they might have been good ideas, but they're not making a difference for people on the ground here in Western Massachusetts who are struggling to afford their electricity bills, who are struggling to afford housing, who have been wondering, you've been talking about rail service to Boston for 50 years. What's the holdup, folks?
What do you make of his pledge to, if he wins again, he'll serve one more term and that's it?
I guess that's a responsible pledge. But look, we can't afford to wait 6 more years for new leadership. And I think a lot of voters in Massachusetts are asking, what are you going to do differently in the next 6 years from what you've done in the last 50? And what we heard tonight was what he's done in the last 50. We haven't heard any new plans, any acknowledgement that the old plans aren't working, and we need to do something different. And I think that's why people really want change in this election. 7 out of 10 Democrats in Massachusetts, actually a little bit more, say they want new leadership from Democrats. And part of that is because the existing establishment has totally failed to take on Trump and the MAGA Republicans. They've got more power now than they have ever. That's not acceptable. We need to fight back.
You've spoke a lot about change. You've spoke a lot about change in the Democratic Party. How do you stand on term limits? Because the Senate is full of old men who should be replaced, let's face it. Would you support term limits for the Senate and for the House?
Yes, I would. And I think we have to have a conversation about age limits as well. You know, we have age limits for judges in Massachusetts. You don't hear a lot of people saying, oh gosh, I really wish this 80-year-old could be a judge. We've kind of accepted that. I served with some incredible leaders, some of the most incredible leaders I've ever met in my life in the United States Marine Corps, 23-year-olds. Who had responsibilities over life and death that just pale in comparison to the vast majority of my colleagues in the House or the Senate. But we've accepted that there's a lower age limit for serving in Congress, and those 23-year-olds don't get to serve, even though, frankly, they're much better leaders than most of my colleagues. So I think that we should have a debate about what an upper age limit should be, and I have pledged to foster that debate, to work to pass whatever the conclusion is into law, and if I ever find myself in that position, to abide by it, regardless of whether or not it does get passed into law.
Congressman, I want to follow up on a question during the debate. So do you stand by what you said in 2024 after the election about transgender youth participating in sports?
What I said is that we need to have a discussion about it, and as a Democrat, you're not even allowed to have that debate. And that really doesn't serve the very people that we're trying to protect. Because guess what? The only people who are having a discussion about it is Republicans. Transgender kids, transgender people, LGBTQ people across the Commonwealth are under attack from this administration. And I'm running against a senator who has repeatedly voted for Trump nominees who are carrying on that attack every single day. I'm very proud of having a 100% rating from the Human Rights Campaign. Senator Rubio had a 0% rating. And Senator Markey voted to send him to the State Department where he's terrorizing people. That's not standing up for the LGBTQ community. I'm going to continue fighting for the LGBTQ community, and I'm going to fight forward. They are in pain right now. I hear this at all the town halls I'm conducting across the state, and I'm not afraid to take tough questions from transgender kids, from transgender parents. They want someone who's going to fight forward, who's going to actually foster this debate so that we can have democratic bills to expand health care protections, to ensure they have job protections. That's the kind of fight we need. Sending Trump nominees to the State Department and to become judges across the country who are actually upholding Trump's anti-transgender executive order like Senator Markey has done, that's hurting people who really need help.
What do you make of the Human Rights Campaign endorsing him in this race?
I have a 100% rating from the Human Rights Campaign, and I'm very proud of that. The senator's racked up a lot of endorsements from before I was even running. I mean, he was not telling the truth about the mayors of Salem and Lynn, for example. They endorsed long before I got in the campaign. I get the fact that he's going to win the endorsement race because the establishment is with the senator. The question for voters is, do you want more of the establishment? Do you think the establishment is getting it done? Or do you think it's time for Democrats to have new leadership?
I have a question. As of late, federal resources have really been depleted along with law enforcement down at Union Station. If you were elected as senator, what would you do to put a resource back into that?
Well, first of all, I want people to actually have fast enough trains that they will ride the train at Union Station. I mean, Union Station serves a fraction of what it used to, because the current plan for West-East Rail that the senator supports would actually have trains that go slower than they did in 1952. That's not a vision for the future. That's not where the rest of the world is. Why should we be riding in century-old trains when countries all over the globe are going at high speeds? If you could have a high-speed rail line from Springfield to Boston, which every other developed country in the world has or is building, you'd get from downtown to downtown in 40 or 45 minutes. I mean, imagine being able to work in the city and come home in time for dinner. That's the kind of future vision that we need for Western Massachusetts, because again, the status quo is just not getting it done. And I respect the fact that the senator has tried for a long time to get West-East Rail, but for 50 years, it hasn't gotten done. I think we need a new plan.
Final question. What are your thoughts and feelings about the overflow of CSO happening right now in the Connecticut River, coming out of Springfield, Chicopee, and Holyoke? Millions of gallons being dumped in every day when it rains. If you're a senator, what would you pledge to go against that and help alleviate that?
I mean, this is literally just disgusting. It's a certain kind of show we shouldn't talk about on TV. It's just absolutely appalling that this is happening. And it's happened in my district, not from a city in my district, but from Haverhill, dumping into the Merrimack, which flows through my district. Closed a lot of beaches right over the holiday weekend. This is why we need Democrats to win so we can deliver infrastructure back here. And when the senator says he supports all these great ideas, the reality is those great ideas cannot come to fruition if Trump and the MAGA Republicans are still in charge. And that's why I'm so proud to have already flipped 24 seats from red to blue across the country. We need to restore majorities in the House and Senate. It's not enough just to have good ideas. We need to win so we can get them passed into law and actually deliver for people in Massachusetts.
We got time for one more question.
All right.
The senator seems pretty confident of a blue wave. Are you?
I think we have to fight for a blue wave. I think when the senator says, hey, I'm just going to stand on the Senate floor and a blue wave is going to come and wash us over, that's naive. I mean, just in 2024, remember everyone said, oh, it's going to be tough in the presidential, but at least Democrats are going to win the House. Well, we didn't. And that's why we've got to work harder. That's why you deserve a senator who's not just going to get himself reelected, but fight to elect Democrats all across the country.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Frank.